Welcome to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacey St. John, and I am so thankful to spend a few minutes with you today. Now, before we jump into this interview, I want to share a quote that I recently read that resonated with me. And it said, "Whatever you do, be different." That was the advice my mother gave me, and I can't think of better advice for an entrepreneur. If you're different, you will stand out. And those inspiring words come to us from Anita Roddick, who was the founder of the Body Shop International. All right, talk about different. Today, we are diving into a conversation about websites with Diana Roberts. And I know that her story is going to be one that stands out to you. She lives a unique life, and I cannot wait for you to not only learn about her, but also learn about all the tips and tricks we talk through regarding direct booking websites. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into my conversation with Diana. So today we are joined by Diana Roberts, and we are going to be talking everything websites. So get ready to break out your notepad, girls, because we got lots of fun stuff to talk about. But Diana, before we jump in, just thank you so much for being with us.
Well, I thank you, Stacey, for having me on here. So you've been like a little idol for me, and being able to do this just makes my heart glow. So,
well, it makes my heart glow to hear that. And I am so grateful for you, right? Many of you may not know that Diana actually leads our Thursday night OwnerRez call inside of our STR Success Accelerator training, mentoring, and mastermind program. And Diana, I know the women absolutely value that time with you every Thursday. So I just, first of all, want to say thank you for serving the people in my community each and every week. It's truly a blessing.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate you letting me be part of your group. So
great. Absolutely. So we have so many fun things to talk about today. But first, I just would love for you to share a little bit about who Diana Roberts is and where you live.
So I am Diana Roberts. A lot of people know me as the OwnerRez guru. That's what my people qualified me as. I am a nomadic RV traveler. So basically, I like to classify myself as a work adventure. We work and travel at the same time. We travel all around the United States, going and visiting all different places. We like to go and see the different places we set up websites for. And we also get pictures that we can actually help with our content on our websites, as well as get familiar with all the local information. It is me and my husband and our youngest son travel full time, and he just graduated this year. So that's exciting. We have 2 dogs, a parrot, and 3 hermit crabs who travel with us.
I talk about this. So I want to first ask so many questions about the whole RV traveling thing, because this is so cool and so unique. How long have you been traveling around the country in an RV?
So we've been officially traveling in this RV since we bought it in 2020. June of 2020, we hit the road running. We have been home maybe 3 weeks since then. And then before that, back in 2016, we actually converted a school bus into an RV, and we traveled for 3 years before we landed in Mississippi. So,
wow.
Yes.
And so what made you get interested in this RV way of life?
We wanted to find a way to get out of a 9-to-5 job where we could be together as a family and be more interactive, and just find a way that we could just go and see things, but just live life. Life is too short. Mm-hmm. My aunt, who is also my mentor, who is now in heaven, She told me, life is too short. She's like, don't wait until you get old to say you're going to go do stuff. She's like, do it now while you're young. Because when you get old, you got doctor's bills, you got doctor's appointments, you're in and out. She's like, it's no fun. She's like, go do it now. So that's what we did. We figured out a way to live and work online. And that's what we do. It's just now I niche in the SDR industry. So like the last 6 years, we've been doing nothing but SDRs. So
amazing. And I'm curious, how did you find your way into the short-term rental industry? What was that like?
My sister-in-law, I give her all the credit. We moved to Mississippi. Well, we went down to go visit her in Mississippi, in Ocean Springs, Mississippi on the Gulf Coast. And she was in the process of building an SDR, one vacation rental. And she's like, but I know nothing. And we've been in graphic web design. We just weren't niching anything. We didn't have like a vision on like where we're going. We were just doing all kinds of stuff. We built mushroom websites. We did coaching websites. I mean, all kinds of fun stuff, but we didn't have a niche yet. Well, she's like, I know nothing about VRBO, Airbnb. She's like, I know nothing about it. I was like, well, I can do it. You fake until you make it, right? I was like, I can do it. So, which I mean, I knew. I had helped other people build vacation rental websites for other people. I just didn't get to put my name on them. And so I built her website. We got her set up on Airbnb and VRBO. I started managing her guests for her. And so then that Boston, she's making so much money on one, she built two more. Well, in that year that she's building the other two, I was like, okay, I need a software that I can organize, because in the process of building her website, I had other SDR owners that I was building their websites for. Mm-hmm. And so then I learned about OwnerRez. Well, I was looking at OwnerRez. I looked at Lodgify, Hostaway, and at the time it's SmartBnB. Now it's Hospitable. And I really liked the setup on OwnerRez. So I was setting up her OwnerRez, and a guy in Jupiter, Florida that I built his website for, he's like, hey, you want to set up my OwnerRez too? So I started setting up his, and I've just been doing it ever since. So several years ago, we got into doing OwnerRez consultations, because a lot of people went through the process of doing their own OwnerRez setup. They're like, did I set it up correctly? Is it incorrect? So I started doing that, and it's just kind of became our life.
Yeah. It's interesting. A mentor of mine has taught me that sometimes we have a vision for what we want for our future, but we may not have all of the individual steps figured out along our journey. And sometimes his catchphrase, if you will, is you have to let go to let in. I know I never, ever imagined having property at the beach, let alone a portfolio of properties at the beach, let alone helping other people manage their properties at the beach. And then moving into a mountain or, kind of a hiking outdoors market. I would have never dreamed of having vacation rental properties to begin with, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm curious, you had this vision for having a nomadic lifestyle where you could travel around in an RV. How did you figure out how to run your business? Did that make sense? So you started building websites for people, but you and I both know there's a heck of a lot more into running a successful business. How did you figure all that out along the way?
Trial and error. Lots of trial and error. So we have a Verizon Wi-Fi, which helps us. And we also have Starlink. So you have to have several sources of internet to be able to keep an online business running. Lots of planning goes into it, because when I get ready to schedule us at an RV park, I have to make sure that there's no dead areas, and to make sure that I have internet service, because that is a crucial part of keeping websites, everybody online but we also have it minimalist style that it's just me, my husband, and my son who run our business. So we're just a small family business. That's it, and we don't have outside people. We did just this year bring in my daughter-in-law. Well, my son's girlfriend, but call her my daughter-in-law, might as well be. Right. So he helps us too with the marketing part of it. But it's just a very small portion of it. But it's like, you have to say, as my husband says, is I'm on my phone all the time. But I get to say that, well, look around us. Look what I'm talking from. Look at my office today. Like I'm on my phone all the time, or my computer or my tablet. But at the same time, like I get to work from wherever I want to that day.
Yeah.
Whether you're out kayaking that day, you're still answering guests on the phone or any of my clients on the phone. I mean, it's just part of it. You just have to you're typically connected 24/7. You put in a lot more work to do this kind of lifestyle, but at the same time, you get to play at the same time. So it's a work and play balance is what it comes down to. And we just kind of figured out a way that we can just do it all. Is that it for them?
Totally. Yeah. And I'm curious too, you talk about running a family business. How do you divvy up the responsibilities within your family business? Does everyone do everything? I know you mentioned your daughter-in-law, AKA son's girlfriend, does help with marketing, but talk to me a little bit about the roles and responsibilities and how you've decided how to divvy those up in your business.
So I can figure out, we looked at what everybody was able to do, what their strong suits are and all of that. So me and my husband, we also co-host for other properties too. So my husband is kind of like QA. So whenever my daughter-in-law posts and stuff like that, he always just watches social media, make sure she's on good. When we get websites done, they all go through him to make sure everything looks good. My youngest son, he helps build the websites. So he sets up the pages. He does all of that. And he's been doing that for 4 years now with us. So he took interest in it because he homeschools. So he's been homeschooling since he was in 5th grade. So he's on a computer anyways. So he just is able to grow with that. So he just grew within it. He just took interest. And so he does the website part of it. He's like, I don't want to talk to people. He's like, no, he doesn't want to talk to people yet, but he's like, I'll do the website part. So he does the back end part of that. And then I'm like the face of it all. I'm the person who talks to everybody, gets everybody, brings everybody in. And then we just kind of divvy it up from there. So, and my husband, him and I are both. So I use a system called Mighty Call. So whenever somebody calls any of our co-hosting lines, it goes through there and it rings both of our phones. So one of us can answer it if I'm on a Zoom or something that day. And so that's what we do. So, yeah.
So Mighty Call, I'm so sorry. Mighty Call is I use Ring Central. Is it a voice over internet phone? Okay.
Yeah. It's just like Ring Central. So,
gotcha.
Just like it. Yeah. It's just another program. So, but yeah. And my husband also, whenever we have customers who don't want to be on a Zoom one-on-one, that want to do back-end setups, he's learning OwnerRez as well to be able to do back-end setups as well. So
I know that setting up OwnerRez is certainly a large task, right? And it can feel very daunting for many folks because OwnerRez, as you well know, is an extremely complex and comprehensive system. I know when I first started using OwnerRez, I paid for the OwnerRez people to help me set it up. And that was a fairly lengthy process. Talk to me a little bit about why you love OwnerRez so much and why you feel like it's one of the best systems out there for property management software.
I love OwnerRez because of the way the system's set up. I like that we can have all our automated messages, electronically signed rental agreements. You can now collect photo IDs or driver's license. You actually collect whatever. like insurance. You can collect everybody's insurance cards, whatever you want to collect, they're able to collect it. Every Airbnb, VRBO, Google Vacation Rentals, your websites, booking.com can all be centralized from OwnerRez. You have one calendar that looks at. OwnerRez is a very robust system, but once you figure out the system and the way it works, it's wonderful. Like I use it on my phone, I use it on my tablet, I use it on my computer. No, they don't have an app like other programs do, but their website is so robust that it is mobile friendly.
Mm-hmm.
We are able to, so like the way we do our co-hosting, I don't have everybody in one OwnerRez. Like I'm on their OwnerRez accounts. Like I switch between the different accounts because we brand our owners. Mm-hmm. Instead of branding us, we brand them. And it just makes it very nice to switch between. And the growth that I've seen over the past 5 years that we've been on with working with OwnerRez has just been amazing. Like they've made tons of changes. Of course, I wish they would ask me before they make certain changes, but they don't ask me.
They don't ask you. Well, let's see if we can change that. Who knows? Who knows if we...
I know, right?
Exactly. So I'm curious what platform from a website perspective you're utilizing OwnerRez for your property management software for most of the websites that you set up. What content management system are you utilizing? Are you using WordPress, Wix? What's your go-to?
WordPress.
WordPress.
I love working with WordPress. Google loves WordPress. Google loves categorizing WordPress websites. So therefore, I like using WordPress because of the flexibility of the design of WordPress. It makes it easier for us to flow through. My son knows WordPress better. I have designed some Wix websites. I prefer not to use Wix, but I have because I have clients who already have Wix set up and they need it built on Wix. So that's what we do. So we are flexible, but I prefer not to. But I definitely like WordPress. WordPress makes it easier for SEO, search engine optimization, and it links to Facebook, so it links to all your social media. So there's lots of different programs or plugins, actually not programs, but plugins that you can get with WordPress to enhance your websites. So no matter whether like what you're trying to do, WordPress is definitely a go-to place to do.
Yeah. I totally. And I'm a huge WordPress fan. I think a lot of folks probably just like OwnerRez. If they've never worked with WordPress, it can feel overwhelming. But once you get the hang of it, it is a phenomenal platform to have a website on, to your point, because it's so friendly when it comes to search engine optimization. There are so many plugins that you can utilize. You know, it's got a lot of fabulous functionality that I personally appreciate. That's for sure.
Yes. Me too.
I'm curious, from your perspective, what are some of the most important elements for an owner or a host to be thinking about when it comes to their website? I know everyone is all about direct bookings these days, and rightly so. I think it's a huge priority for so many of us. And we can really, enhance direct bookings with the right elements on our website. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, what are some of those critical elements to a website that you feel like really, really enhance that guest experience on the site itself?
Content is important, and pictures, quality pictures, like nice quality pictures, really like eye-catching, and personalize it. Like I have found that a lot of guests like to hear, or they feel like they bond better if you personalize your website. Like they feel like they're more in touch with you. If you have like an about us with you and your family, oh, I can relate to them. It's more relatable at that point. I mean, to have that personal story on there, instead of just a business, because a lot of vacation rental owners, they only have a few vacation rentals or just one. And so a lot of times, like having that personalized story that a guest can relate to will make them want to come to your place because it's going to have that personalized touch at your place as well.
Yeah.
But also don't be misleading. Keep it hand in hand. Make sure that everything you're doing on your website focuses also what your property represents. So if you have a righteous 5-star website, make sure you have a righteous 5-star property.
Yeah.
So that goes hand in hand with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. A seamless guest experience from the website perspective to the property.
Yes.
It should be seamless for sure.
Yeah. Keep it seamless because then it's like, and I have found that like people who like properties in other locations, whenever they go to one of your properties, that's whenever they look at your website, they go to another property too, because of the fact that they've had such a great experience here. And then your website backs up what, you're saying as well. So then they want to go here too, because technically your websites speak to who you are too, Yeah.
I'm curious. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm curious to hear your perspective on website structure for hosts or owners that have properties in multiple locations. Should they, in your experience, have separate websites? Should they have one website with all of their locations featured within it? Talk to me about what your preferences are there.
Typically, most of my preferences is have all your properties on one website. Because a lot of times, like even like each property has its own property page. So like you can advertise each property individually, but all of your properties showcased on one website lets us see how many different locations you have, how large you are. And also on top of that, like I said, it's like you have a property in Arizona as well as a property in Belize. So whenever they come and stay with you in Arizona and they're like, oh, she has a property in Belize, let's plan a trip there next year.
Yeah.
That happens a lot with a lot of people. That's actually a true story. So with some of my clients that we build these websites for, like that's usually how they do them. It's like, when you're at this property, like here's another place that you might be interested in for next year. And that it showcases all your properties and showcases you as a person instead of having to worry about keeping up even maintenance on multiple websites. But you are able to have focus more on one name that unifies all of your properties everywhere they go. They're like, hey, I've seen that name before. So that's what we do. Like, that's what we like to do typically is most of the time. Like we do have clients who do have like multiple websites. Like we do listen to our clients and do what they want, but typically we encourage most of them to do one website. Mm-hmm. That way they can capture those people that want to go to other locations.
Sure. I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the best ways that folks can make sure that their website stays functional all the time? Because a down website is a website that is not getting bookings, right? What are some of your tips and tricks there?
So if you're using like WordPress or Wix or whatever, make sure you keep it updated. Like with WordPress, it has lots of plugins. So if you're managing it yourself, then make sure you keep everything up to date. You can enable auto updates, but sometimes like if they have just like a phone, phones get updated all the time. So does a website. There's constantly new security procedures that are coming out. You have to keep your website up to date. And that helps keep it from going down too. But also having a good hosting, like whoever you're using for a host, like I like using SiteGround. They're a dependable WordPress hosting platform, or Bluehost. And therefore, like, you don't have to worry about it ever typically going down. And so making sure that happens, because like they probably have updates that come out like on a daily basis half the time. And being able to stay on top of that, making sure that you have a domain, you keep your domain, make sure you renew that. Because if you don't, your website will go down. Just little things. But yes, just making sure like all your plugins stay up to date. Typically is how it stays up to date. Now the widgets, like we use OwnerRez and put OwnerRez widgets on websites. One, I think twice in 6 years that OwnerRez had hiccups that their widgets went down, but they were down for a very small window, like less than an hour, but it did happen. So little things, but people like, as long as you have your phone number on your website, make sure you have your phone number, make sure you have an email address. Then guests can get a hold of you and you don't miss that contact. You know, something might go down, but at the same time, if they have a way to get a hold of you, you don't miss that lead, right? You know, they can call you, they can text you, and have your Facebook, your social media links on there, just so people can get a hold of you if something weird was to happen.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm curious, you know, you see so many people's websites each and every day. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making when it comes to their websites? Is it that it's not mobile friendly? Is it that they don't have their phone numbers on there? What are some of the most common mistakes that you're seeing these days?
I have seen a lot of websites not have people's phone numbers, not have their names, because I do have some owners who like to hide. Like you will come across people's websites that they just want to stay the business only. So they don't have their phone numbers, their names, or anything like that. So I guess can't really relate to it. But that I think is a mistake, because if you don't have your phone number, they don't have a way to get a hold of you. I know that they want to stay, some people like to stay private and they're worried about scammers constantly scamming their phones, but anybody like can scam your phone. Like if you fill out a form online, you're going to get scam calls. So, but with a Google Voice, you can create a Google Voice and throw that up there to be able to have a phone number. Another thing is probably pictures. Pictures, I think, is a big deal. Like sometimes, like you can take pictures with your phone, but a lot of websites like people to take pictures to your phone sideways. Instead of portrait, they like landscape. Landscape works better on websites. I mean, Airbnb, VRBO, even the OTA is like landscape better than portrait. So I try to tell people, like, when you go to take pictures, turn them sideways. I mean, sometimes people's websites are not mobile friendly. So when people look at it, that it's not queued down like it's supposed to. That is a big thing, especially if like you have too big of a header, stuff like that, whenever they're trying to read it. And then also like make everything on the forefront where they can see all your properties. They can see little contents. They can see how many it sleeps, and make a book now relevant. Like if they want to just go directly to a booking page, make it like prominent. Like basically they can just click book now and be able to book your property. That is definitely important to have.
Yeah. And as few clicks as possible in order to be able to book, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So cool.
But you also want people to be able to read your content though, too. So
how often would you recommend that people post new content to their websites?
I mean, typically once a month. I mean, a website's not like the OTAs. You don't have to constantly change it every single day to keep it updated. That's not the way Google works, Bing, Yahoo. None of them work like that. So typically with the website, they say to keep it fresh, to keep it going. Typically having a blog once a month, like just adding a blog page, can keep your website seen, keep it advertising, and keep you going. It will help push you higher up in the algorithms. Mm-hmm. But patience is a virtue too. So if you're new, it's going to take 6 months to a year for Google to recognize you. You're going to get scammers that are going to say, I could push you to the first page. And you're going to pay all this money, but you're still not going to be on the first page because it's not the way Google works. Mm-hmm. There are things you can do to help by creating like a Google My Business page, adding Google Console that will help get your website read, but you have to have patience too. So yeah.
I would also, and I'm so not a website guru. However, I know enough to be dangerous. And I say that in a fun way. Back in the day, I used to help build websites, and actually I worked for a large national media organization and helped people with search engine optimization and search engine marketing, all that kind of fun stuff in a former life. But I would also make sure, I'm curious to get your perspective on this, to set up Google Analytics so you can see detailed analytics of where your traffic is coming from, how long people are staying on your website, your main geographies where you're pulling from, because that can also help determine if you are going to do any marketing or advertising. If you're seeing that a lot of your website traffic is coming from the Midwest, as an example, then if you're going to run a marketing campaign on Facebook ads, maybe you should target folks in the Midwest. I'm making that up as a scenario, but I'm curious to get your perspective on Google Analytics.
Yes, Google Analytics is good. I mean, with WordPress, there's a plugin called Google Sitekit. And so you can install it on your website. And then basically it will let you have like a dashboard to show you all the analytics, all your geographical locations, all the information that you need to be able to advertise, to set up your Facebook ads, Instagram ads, to be able to target market everybody in those different regions.
Amazing.
And we set that up. We add that to all of our websites, and then we get on a Zoom call to be able to get our owners to connect it to their personalized Gmail accounts. So
awesome. Okay, I heard a dog in the background. Which dog was it?
You heard a dog. That must have been Mia. She's an English bulldog.
Okay, I love that. I am curious if you could share with us, before I move to the lightning round, a little bit more about your animals that come with you on the road. Like, I cannot imagine living in an RV, but living in an RV with 2 dogs, a parrot, and 3 hermit crabs, like girlfriend, that is a close knit there. Tell us about your.
We are very close knit. We have a 3-year-old English bulldog, Mia. We have a 2-year-old Pembroke Corgi, Bailey. And then we just picked up our parrot when we were in Marathon, Florida. And when he was 5 months old, he's 8 months old now. And then we have our 3 hermit crabs that their names are Parrot, Monkey, and Mr. Krabs, because we picked them up in Oak Grove, North Carolina last year. We named them Parrot, Monkey, and Mr. Krabs. Our youngest son named his Mr. Krabs because my husband wants a monkey. I wanted a parrot, but we didn't think we would ever get one initially because, we travel in an RV and stuff. But then we've met people who have parrots in RVs, and we happened to go to a pet shop in Marathon, Florida, and SpongeBob jumped on us. Like my husband was walking by and he just jumped on him. He's like, take me home. So we actually came back to the pet shop 3 times to make the decision to buy him. And so we ended up buying him, and he has been traveling with us since. We have a inside cage for him, and then we have an outside cage for him. And then in the front where I sit, where my office is, I have a window set up for him too. And then I take videos, and I have an Instagram for all of us. It's called Living That Dream Life. And so we're doing that. So I do little videos of him. But yeah, but to live in an RV with so many animals and with your family, you have to love each other. I mean, you're together basically 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. So we all love each other. I mean, but that was our goal. Like, we just wanted to be together, and we don't regret it. Like, not at all. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to do this kind of thing. We feel very blessed that we get to live this kind of lifestyle. Travel around to different parks, travel around to different places, and to be able to teach our son about history. Like, he learns it in the school books, but then he gets to go to places like Savannah, Georgia and stuff to learn about the rich history. We normally go on like ghost tours everywhere we go, because you get to learn about the living, dead, and everybody that does that. But then they get to tell you a different side of history that you didn't hear in the history books. Right. We get to go to different battlegrounds and stuff, because he likes history. Him and my husband are history buffs. So they like to learn about history, go to different war zones, do all kinds of fun stuff. So that's what we do. Okay. And he's constantly getting to learn and live firsthand. Yeah. Then, like all parents, we know we want to do more for our kids than what we had. And that's what we get to do for him. Our oldest son, he does not like traveling. He stays stationary. He takes care of our house in Ocean Springs. So we have a house in Ocean Springs. Him and his girlfriend live there, but they're not travelers. Well, she likes to travel, but he doesn't. Like, he likes the stationary home. He likes having his friends, because that is the something else about traveling is you have virtual friends. Yeah. Not a whole lot of like personal friends that you get to see all the time, that you get to go to the store with, go hit up to have wine with and stuff like that in the evenings. But we get to have our family, and that's what we wanted. So there's little sacrifices. You sacrifice a little bit, but you get to see everybody. You get to stay connected. That's what I love about social media. That's what I love about, FaceTime. You get to still connect to everybody virtually. You're just not there physically. Yeah. But and that's what we do. I mean, it's just
so fun.
Who we are. It is.
I love it.
It is fun.
Okay, girl, I want to move to the lightning round. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to answer with the very first thing that comes to mind. Hopefully the questions will be easy. First question is, where is your favorite place to vacation?
My favorite place to vacation in the wintertime is the Florida Keys.
I've heard they're beautiful. I've never been.
You've never been to Florida? Oh, it's so wonderful. Don't even ask me what key. Like, I love them all. Like, when we go down, we spend the whole winter. We spend 2 to 3 months in the Florida Keys, and we bounce around different keys. So we don't plan in advance. Like, we typically live our life 2 weeks at a time. So typically, like, we get in where we can fit in too. So that's the fun part about it, is we never know like where we're going to live 2 weeks from now.
I can't imagine. I love it. That's so fun. Okay. Next question. Where's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
Oh, we have not been to Mount Rushmore yet, or the Mall of America. I could say Paris is another one of the places I would like to go, but I'm scared of traveling outside the U.S. So
There you go. It'd be a little difficult to drive the RV there.
Well, you can actually ship your RV over there.
What?
Yes, you can have your RV shipped over there. I don't want to do that, but technically you can ship your RV into, you can ship your RV to other countries. So
who knew? Okay, what's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting your business?
Trying to narrow it down to one thing. I wish I would have knew my niche. Whenever I first started, I wish I would have niched. I never realized how important niching was until later on in life. So
the riches are in the niches, right?
that is true.
Very good. True. Okay, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Expect nothing, appreciate everything.
Oh, I love that. Where did you learn that? Do you remember?
I think I was I was looking at like a rental agreement from another host. I don't even know who at the time. And she had that on there. It was like we were renting an Airbnb. And I remember reading it on her messages. And I just kind of picked it up since then.
That's great.
And that's like my little tagline and everything. Expect nothing, appreciate everything. So
an attitude of gratitude is something that's irreplaceable. That's for sure.
It is.
Right. What is one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
My husband. Because without him, I would not be where I am today.
Oh, so I love that. And what's his name?
William Roberts.
Well, William, we hope you listen to this episode.
I know.
Oh, Diana, it is so good to connect with you. I so appreciate you. And again, all you do for the ladies inside my community. If folks want to learn more about you or want to learn about the services that you might be able to support them with, what is the best place for folks to find you online?
DERcustoms.com. Yep. I love DERcustoms.com.
So good. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it so very much. More than you will know.
Now, before you go, I want to give a quick shout out to all of the amazing women inside the Female Short-Term Rental Investors Facebook group. This 2 hours ago, as of the time I'm recording this, Melissa Burt posted, okay, question. I just started hosting in March. Our very first guest trashed the place. We had lots of pictures and did go through Airbnb to file a claim. Now, only 3 short months later, we've had our second bad guest. $814. Again, we've shared pictures and invoices, have done the proper channels, and have sent the guests through Airbnb, and they have agreed to pay. My question is, will Airbnb penalize me in searches or anything for filing to claim? Now, what I love is that Melissa not only shared this question, but already we've had 23 women jump in and share their perspective, several of which have shared that Melissa's nightly rates seem to be a bit low. And perhaps because her nightly rates were a bit low, she was attracting the wrong type of guests for her property. So Melissa, I want to share a word of gratitude for you posting that question and for all the women who have jumped in already to share that, hey, you're not just thinking about the guests who have trashed your property, but perhaps here's a way to avoid that from happening in the future. So we've just got such amazing women who truly focus on helping one another. Our Facebook group, if you are not a part of it, girlfriend, you are missing out. So find us on facebook.com/groups/ female STR investors. All right. With that, I hope you have a phenomenal week. Thank you again for allowing me to be a small part of it, and I will see you very soon.